he chased a dream whispered by screens, a life of unimaginable luxury, only to wake up one morning with nothing, just the echo of a nightmare. What if everything you've ever built could disappear in a single day? Not over years, not over months, but in hours. What if I told you that everything you've ever wanted could vanish in the blink of an eye, crushed under the relentless weight of a single catastrophic day? Imagine a world where fortunes are made and lost, not over years, but in hours. This isn't a story from a distant past, but a stark, modern-day cautionary tale. It's about a man who conquered the markets, rose to the very top, then plummeted back to earth in one dizzying fall. What truly happens when the dream you've built brick by painful brick turns to dust right before your eyes? This is the story of how quickly everything can change, and why, in the high-stakes game of trading, one bad day can truly take everything. Long before the glittering penthouses and the roar of expensive engines, there was just a young man, a laptop, and a burning desire. He started small, like most do, a few $100s in a fledgling trading account, fueled by late nights and endless cups of coffee. He wasn't born with a silver spoon, nor did he stumble into wealth. His journey began in the quiet solitude of his small apartment, the glow of the monitor illuminating his determined face. Day in and day out, he absorbed every chart, every pattern, every piece of financial news he could get his hands on. He devoured books on technical analysis, spent hours backtesting strategies, and meticulously journaled every single trade, both good and bad. This wasn't a hobby, it was an obsession, a relentless pursuit of understanding the invisible forces that move billions of dollars across screens. He learned the market's language, the cryptic dialogue, candlesticks, and indicators. Patience became his most potent weapon, discipline his unbreakable shield. He understood that success wasn't about chasing every hot tip or betting big on a hunch. It was about incremental gains, protecting capital, and waiting for the highest probability setups. He started with tiny positions, accepting small, calculated losses as the tuition fee for his education. The growth was slow, painstakingly so, at first. A few dollars here, a few more there. But those small wins, compounding over time, started to build momentum. He wasn't looking for overnight riches. He was building a foundation, brick by careful brick, in a world notorious for tearing them down. He was a student of the market, and the market, in its unpredictable wisdom, was slowly beginning to reward his dedication. Then came the turning point. After months, then years of disciplined growth, something shifted. His small account wasn't so small anymore. He was making real money, enough to quit his day job, enough to dedicate himself entirely to the screens. The market, once a formidable adversary, now seemed to whisper secrets directly into his ear. He saw patterns others missed, anticipated moves before they happened. His confidence soared, and rightly so. He had proven himself. The hard work paid off, exponentially. The millions didn't come all at once, but they accumulated with a speed that felt almost unreal. He became a millionaire, then a multimillionaire. The world, once a mid-centennial, was now his playground. The luxury lifestyle became his reality, a testament to his perceived mastery. Imagine waking up in a penthouse apartment overlooking a sprawling city skyline, sunlight glinting off the rope-polished chrome of a sports car parked in your private garage. Weekend trips to exotic locales were no longer fantasies, but casual plans. High-end watches adorned his wrist. Custom suits filled his wardrobe. He dined in exclusive restaurants, mingled with the elite, and felt an unshakable sense of accomplishment. This was the life he had earned, the reward for his relentless grind and unparalleled skill. He walked taller, spoke with an air of authority, his past struggles a distant memory. The market had crowned him king, and he wore his crown with an increasing, perhaps even dangerous, sense of invincibility. But with this newfound power and prestige came a subtle, insidious shift. The very principles that had propelled him to the top, the discipline and patience he had so meticulously cultivated, began to erode. It started innocently enough, with a slightly larger position than usual, justified by an obvious setup. Then, a minor deviation from his meticulously crafted rules, rationalized by his intuition, which had, after all, proven itself time and again. The market's whispers now sounded less like guidance and more like flattery, inflating his ego with each successful trade. He began to chase bigger wins, taking on increasingly outsized risks. The thrill of the chase, the dopamine hit of massive profits, became addictive. He stopped reviewing his trades with the same critical eye, dismissing minor losses as insignificant blips on a rapidly ascending curve. Overconfidence became his blindfold, slowly obscuring the very real dangers that lurked in the market's depths. Emotional trading, the very beast he had sworn to conquer, began to creep back in. He started trading not with logic, but with an almost primal urge for more, for faster, for bigger. The meticulous research was replaced by gut feelings, the measured positions by kinetic somatic firmness. He believed he was immune, that his past success granted him a shield against volatility. The market, however, is an indifferent beast, caring nothing for past victories or personal legends. It only responds to supply and demand, to fear and greed. And slowly, unknowingly, he was stepping into a danger zone where the rules of the game were about to change, and his own hubris was preparing the perfect trap. The day started like any other. The market opened, buzzing with its usual energy. He took a position, a rather large one, based on a conviction that felt unshakable. The initial movements were favorable, confirming his genius, further solidifying his overconfidence. But then, almost imperceptibly, the tide began to turn. A sudden news headline, an unexpected economic report, or simply the market's capricious nature, it didn't matter. The price started to move against him, slowly at first, then with alarming speed. Panic, a feeling he hadn't truly known in years, began to coil in his gut. He told himself it was a temporary pullback, a market anomaly. He held, refusing to accept the growing red on his screen. His meticulously planned stop loss, once an unbreakable rule, was ignored. "It will come back," he muttered. "It always does." But it didn't. The market, sensing weakness, pushed harder. His position, already too large, was bleeding rapidly. In a desperate, misguided attempt to average down, he did the unthinkable. He added to his losing position. He doubled down, then tripled down, pouring more and more capital into a sinking ship, convinced that he could force the market to bend to his will. Hours melted away, each minute a fresh torment. The red on his screen grew bolder, a terrifying, irreversible stain. His hands trembled as he watched his millions, accumulated over years of grueling work, evaporate before his eyes. The calls from his broker, the frantic messages from his trading desk, all went unanswered. He was in a trance of denial, paralyzed by the sheer magnitude of the trading. He refused to close, unable to admit defeat, unable to pull the trigger that would make it all real. The market, in its ruthless efficiency, took everything: the luxury, the confidence, the very identity he had built around his success. It all collapsed in a matter of hours. The penthouse, the cars, the dreams, they became ghosts of a life that was. By the time the closing bell rang, silence fell, heavy and suffocating. There was nothing left but the bitter, echoing truth. In one single, devastating day, he had lost everything. The screen, once a window to his empire, now showed a stark, crushing zero. The days and weeks that followed were a blur of regret and disbelief. The silence of the once vibrant penthouse was deafening. The roar of expensive cars was replaced by the quiet hum of an empty apartment. He spent countless hours staring at empty charts, trying to pinpoint where it all went wrong, knowing the answer was painfully simple: himself. The arrogance, the abandonment of his foundational rules, the refusal to accept a small loss in favor of a catastrophic one. It was all there, laid bare. He saw the
turning point not in the market's move, but in his own heart, in the moment he believed he was bigger than the game. His story is a stark, powerful lesson, etched in the most painful way imaginable. The market doesn't care how much you've made, how smart you think you are, or how disciplined you once were. It demands respect, humility, and unwavering adherence to risk management. It shows us that true mastery in trading isn't just about making money. It's about protecting it, about surviving, about understanding that certainty is an illusion. Discipline isn't a suggestion, it's the bedrock. Risk management isn't a strategy, it's a lifeline. And humility isn't a virtue, it's a necessity. In the end, this journey, from the quiet grind to the pinnacle of wealth, and then the crushing fall, reminds us of a fundamental truth that resonates far beyond the screens and trading floors. It's a truth whispered by every red chart, every lost fortune. It echoes in the silence of shattered dreams, a timeless warning to anyone who dares to challenge the market's fickle power. It only takes one bad day to lose everything. If this story changed the way you see trading, then you already understand something most people never will. Because in the market, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And if you want to learn how to survive, how to think differently, and how to avoid mistakes like this, then make sure you watch the next video, because the difference between winning and losing everything is smaller than you think.